Update. Wife of 7 years cheated on me. Now everyone in my circle of friends, her parents and my parents, are suggesting that I should take her back. Original post. I met my wife 10 years ago when we were both in college. We dated for 3 years and have been married for 7. She is a beautiful and amazing person, and everyone in my family loves her. 4 months ago, I found out my wife was having an affair with a mutual friend of ours. It was a 1.5-month affair. During that time, she was acting very shady, ignoring my messages and turning me down every time I tried to initiate sex. I thought something was wrong. I did some snooping but found nothing. Eventually, I hired a PI and within a week, I had proof. She was having an affair with our mutual friend. I immediately confronted her and she confessed. She started crying and begging, basically all the classic cheater moves when they get caught. I asked her for all the details with a detailed timeline. That night, she gave me everything. She had been using another phone for the affair. She told me she had sex with him only 4 times and that the rest of the time, they were just hanging out and having fun. 3 days later, after more crying and talking badly about herself, she told me she had deleted all contact with him and would do whatever it takes to make our marriage work. She suggested marriage counseling. I refused and told her to leave me alone. I was hurt, betrayed, and humiliated. She moved out to her parents' house. She started texting me every hour saying how much she loves me, how much she regrets this, and that she will do anything to save our marriage. After completely ignoring her for 2 days, I texted her that we were getting a divorce. She freaked out and started having an emotional breakdown. My phone started blowing up with calls from her parents, sister, and friends, all telling me not to end the marriage and at least give her a chance. Later that day, she made a long post on Facebook explaining how she had messed up and how she had destroyed her marriage, basically admitting to her affair publicly. But I was rock solid in my decision. She even insisted on taking a lie detector test to prove that she had never cheated in the past, blah blah blah. I asked her for some time alone to process everything. We have been living separately since. This all happened 4 months ago. Last week, I asked her for a divorce, and she started crying and begging for another chance. After that, she visited my parents and asked them to convince me not to divorce her. Last night, my parents and her parents tried to convince me to work things out. And after she made her Facebook post, almost all of our mutual friends were telling me how brave she was to admit her affair, how much she loves me, and that I should at least give her a chance. I'm on the edge of having a breakdown. She is truly remorseful and regrets this. I can assure you of that. I do love her, and her cheating on me hurts the most. I don't know what to do. Anyone who has reconciled, how are things going? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Your friends and family won't be the ones who get cheated on the next time. If they like her so much, they can have her. Yes, exactly right. Any person who contacts you on her behalf gets a set answer. If you think it's fine for her to be banging her affair partner, you can marry her. She'll be available soon. You owe neither her nor the affair partner anything. Her posting on Facebook was pretty manipulative. Also, she didn't admit to the affair. She got caught, and she's trying to make herself look better by manipulating the story. It sucks to be cheated on, but if both parties don't want to work to try and move past it, the cheater needs to own up to their mistakes and let the other person move on. Being cheated on breaks a huge level of trust that you can't just magically get back with an apology. Exactly this. She decided to get her fun somewhere else instead of working on the marriage and is now regretting it? You caught her. And to cover her own butt, she made a Facebook post to get sympathy from her friends and even talk to your parents. I'm sorry to say OP, but I find this behavior highly manipulative. And for those who think she was brave to admit to the affair and deserves a second chance, tell them exactly what you think of it and ask them to remove the dagger from your back and give it to their own significant other so that in the near future, they themselves know how it might feel to be betrayed by the one they trust. Trust is easily broken, hard to gain, and even harder to regain, sometimes impossible if someone you trust has broken it. Now for the first update. First off, thanks to each and every one of you. The amount of support I received in the last 15 hours was unbelievable. I'm sorry I couldn't reply to your comments and PMs, but I'm trying to answer some common questions. We don't have kids, though we were planning to. We both own a business and work together. I haven't talked to her in almost 3 months, only about business-related matters. After reading all your comments and PMs, I decided to talk to my parents. I called them and told them that I was going forward with the divorce. An hour later, my wife called me crying, begging me not to end it, and asked me to at least meet her in person. Since D-Day, I haven't seen her or talked about the affair. Every time we talked, I ignored any discussion about it. She told me she would explain everything and asked me to at least hear her side of the story. She said that whatever decision I made after hearing her out, she would respect. Since I don't know all the details and don't have much information about the affair, I figured it would be like closure for me. So I've decided to meet her on Sunday. That's it, nothing dramatic. Second update. First, thank you all. I never expected this kind of response. As planned, we met on Sunday. She looked miserable. I hadn't seen her in a while. We talked about our relationship, and I asked her to take down her Facebook post, which she did. I asked her about the affair, why she cheated on me. She told me that she was dumb and selfish at the time. She didn't blame me for the affair. She said they were casually talking, and he started talking about his affairs. She showed me text messages between them, where he was bragging about his fun life outside of marriage. She told me she was curious, and one thing led to another. There were several texts where he was guiding my wife on how to hide the affair. He suggested she buy another phone and always keep it in the car. I took screenshots of everything. She then asked for my forgiveness. I forgave her, but I couldn't move past this. Divorce was my default option from the beginning. She begged me to try marriage counseling. She told me she would never date anyone else ever again, and that if she did, it would be me. I don't really care. We will still work together, as this was our shared dream project. As for our mutual friend, the last I heard was that he and his wife decided to reconcile since kids were involved. I really feel sad for his wife. She doesn't know what kind of monster he is. We are getting divorced. I've decided not to be in a relationship ever again. She told me she was curious, and one thing led to another. God, I freaking hate this excuse. One thing led to another, because she chose that, over and over. Because her response to a cheater wasn't to immediately say, "That's disgusting," and cut contact. She enabled one thing to lead to another. Take time to heal from this, but don't write off relationships altogether just because she turned out to be crappy. Exactly. You don't just trip and land into sex. It's not an accident. Someone had to find time when both of them didn't have work or other plans. She worked with OP, so imagine how hard that would be. She couldn't just say she had to work late because he would know that was a lie. Then where did they do it? A hotel? Who paid for the hotel? How did they hide the missing money from their significant other? Did they travel out of town in case someone they knew saw them? Again, that's even more time that needs to be accounted for. Every single step took active participation and effort, even buying a whole second phone. Getting drunk and having a one-time fling would still be an automatic divorce for me, but it would at least be more reasonable. But this was meticulously planned. Divorce is honestly the best option. She acts sorry, but ultimately, you only found out about this because you hired a PI. She had no intention of confessing to you. I'm glad you're not giving her a second chance. Go find someone that can give you respect. I thought the same thing. There's nothing brave about publicly crying over being caught. She would have kept this a secret for as long as possible. One selfish act after another. This post made me laugh. So why did you have the affair? Well, we were talking and the subject of affairs came up, and it just sounded like something I wanted to try. I hope you burst out laughing when she said that. Yeah, how does someone constantly telling you how crappy they are to their wife make you want to sleep with them? I figured in most affairs, you don't actively think about how you are hurting the other person. This dude straight up explained it to her, and she was like, heck yeah, I want to manipulate and hurt my husband like that. Second story. Update. On our anniversary, my wife, 27 female, and I, 27 male, were intimate, and she said another man's name during sex. He's a mutual friend. I'm at a loss. How do I navigate this? Original post. I am in a fight with my wife after an incident during intimacy. For context, we're high school sweethearts and have been married for 6 years. We have a child, 3 male. We've been through a lot together, and I love her deeply. Our marriage is in a rough patch. Our quality time as a couple is struggling. We're in counseling. We're working on making time for each other and reaffirming our bond. That's our current focus in counseling, and we've been assigned intimacy exercises. As part of these exercises, we are making a consistent conscious effort for each other. We had a staycation to celebrate our anniversary while our son spent the weekend at his grandparents'. The trip was largely nice, and we were able to focus on each other better. But then things took a turn. On the night of our anniversary, we were cuddling, and it turned into more. My wife initiated. She was really into it and expressive. And then out of nowhere, she moaned another man's name, someone from our friend group. We stopped immediately. There was no mistaking what she said. She looked stunned before recovering and treating it like a texting typo or something. When I questioned why she'd say another guy's name, let alone a friend's, she swore it meant nothing and that she was just consumed by what I was doing to her. I couldn't buy it. I don't believe it meant nothing. Not with the passionate way she said it. I believe she was fantasizing about him while being with me. She insisted it wasn't like that and was only a slip of the tongue. I asked why his name in particular. First, she said she didn't know. Then she said maybe it was because she had been replying to his texts earlier in the group chat. When I pushed back, she got defensive. She said I was making something out of nothing and that it didn't need to ruin our anniversary. I told her nothing she was saying was getting through to me and I needed some time. She tried kissing me and initiating again like nothing had happened, but I turned her down. The incident put a damper on the rest of the trip. We haven't been intimate since, and any progress we had made with our exercises has taken a significant step back. Now we're stuck in a cycle of awkward silence, even in front of our son, or she's ignoring the elephant in the room. She's being extra affectionate now, but I can't shake what happened. I never thought twice about their friendship, but now I'm seeing past interactions differently. I love my wife. She and our son mean the world to me. I've been committed to working on our marriage, but I'm at a loss here. I feel my wife isn't being honest and is attempting to rug sweep by pouring on affection. I'm left reconsidering everything. I don't know how to navigate forward. I need outside perspectives. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Okay, if this happened with my partner, the first place my mind would go immediately is that he's having an affair. But being on the outside, while an affair is still on my list of possibilities, I don't think it's the only logical answer. My other logical conclusion isn't pretty either though. But it happens. People fantasize about others. She may just have the hots for this dude, and thinking of him gets her going. She could have been so in her own head picturing him that she got lost in the moment, and it slipped out. For me, this option would still be grounds to take a step back and question a lot. Even thinking about my partner fantasizing about a friend while having sex with me makes me want to throw up. So I 100% understand why this has messed you up so badly. I don't think any response is going to make you feel better, honestly. It happened, and that's going to be a hard one to forget. Man, I wish I had advice, but knowing how this would make me feel, I've got nothing that I believe will make this easier for you. I would absolutely check your phone records to see if they are communicating more than they should be. That would definitely be my first move. Well said. Either way, it's not looking good. I'd be very hurt in the best case scenario. Damn, that's rough to hear, especially since intimacy is the focus in counseling. Let your counselor know you're paying for this assistance. See what tools they can provide to help you navigate this. It's a safe place where you can vent and say everything that's on your mind, even that you're left reconsidering everything. If anything, it'll be good for both of you to see what comes out of it and whether you're both truly willing to find a path forward. Now for the update. Thanks to everyone who reached out. I couldn't reply to everything, but the outside perspectives helped. A general consensus was that my wife and I should tackle this issue in therapy. I knew that's what I should have done, but I delayed. I was too embarrassed. The thought of bringing up what happened in counseling made it worse, but I knew it needed to be done. My wife didn't initially take kindly to it. She was defensive and accused me of throwing her under the bus. I disagreed. I wasn't throwing her under the bus. The truth is, we never arranged topics in therapy beforehand. We argued over each other. Our therapist stepped in as a referee. She called for a timeout for us to recollect ourselves and reflect on the objective, working toward a solution, not attacking each other. Once things cooled down, we were able to actually talk. My wife was asked how she would feel if the roles were reversed. She admitted that if I had said another woman's name while we were having sex, on our anniversary no less, she wouldn't have handled it well at all. She apologized for downplaying my feelings. While I appreciated her acknowledgement, I still felt she wasn't being honest about why she said that guy's name. So I pressed. She said she didn't want to hurt me more than she already had. I told her she was hurting me by lying. She then confessed that during a stint when we weren't intimate, she had engaged in fantasies to satisfy herself. One of them was about our friend. I knew the period she was talking about. Intimacy as a whole has been a struggle, but there was a time when we were completely abstinent. We weren't even sharing a bed then. We'd argue, then retreat to separate rooms, or our son would sleep between us. I asked how long she'd been fantasizing about him. She said it was off and on. He wasn't a constant fantasy, and it wasn't necessarily about him. It was more about the taboo. She swore the fantasies meant nothing, that they were just scenarios to get her there, and nothing she would ever actually want. It was tough, but I tried to hear her out instead of shutting down. Arguing wasn't getting us anywhere either. I can't relate to her on this. She has always been enough for me, even during the bad times. I was always focused on her during intimacy. I told her that while I knew our marriage wasn't perfect, I thought we were getting to a better place. We had been engaging in various forms of intimacy again. She claims she no longer indulges in those fantasies. I called BS because she did just that, on our anniversary of all days. She insisted his name was only a slip of the tongue because she had been replying to his texts in the group thread that day. She said she was consumed with what I was doing to her, and in the heat of the moment, his name slipped out. When I asked why she didn't tell me all of this after the incident, she said she felt guilty and afraid for our marriage. She said our marriage was already in a state of recovery, and she didn't want to blow everything up over a stupid mistake. She kept saying she doesn't want him or anyone else. She only wants to be with me, and that's the whole reason she's fighting for our marriage. The session was a lot. I was mostly quiet after she finished. She asked me to please say something, but all I could say was that I needed time. I'm still sorting through how I feel. I believe she was more truthful, but it's difficult. I don't see things between her and our friend the same way anymore. I would like to work on my marriage. My wife and our son mean the world to me. I want the best solution for everyone involved. Thank you again to everyone. I appreciate the support. Well, that's the problem with trickle-truthing. There's no way to know when she stops trickling and when she's telling the truth. I didn't do it. I did, but it was just a fantasy. I don't fantasize anymore. I do fantasize, but it doesn't mean I want him. I want him, but won't do anything. I did something on our struggle time, but it was just hanging out. And so on. I think the next thing you need to do is schedule another therapy session and discuss tools for rebuilding trust. At this point, you need to bring up that your trust was shaken because she kept trickle-truthing, and you don't know how to be sure she isn't hiding more from you. You don't want to distrust her, but you don't know how to rebuild. Allow me to be blunt about some uncomfortable truths. Everyone fantasizes. What matters is if and how we act on our fantasies, and whether they impact our real lives. Keep your focus on her behavior, not her fantasies. Trust is similar to reputation. It's hard to rebuild once it's broken, but it can be rebuilt. Trust is always a leap of faith. It's built on small, consistent, reliable behaviors, but at its heart, it's still a leap of faith. Those little voices in your head, OP, the one saying, "But what if she's secretly in love with him? What if she thinks he's sexier than me?" Those voices, Nothing your wife says or does will be able to silence them. That's a battle you'll have to fight yourself. Yeah, fantasizing is normal, but not with people we know. If she said Brad Pitt's name, heck, even Goku or something, I would be yeah girl who never. But to say a name from a friend? She may never have cheated physically, but even so, it's not that easy to forget and just move on.